A while back, a viewer had commented that I should check out a Souls tuber called Red Licorice. So I decided to check him out, and man, this dude does some insane runs. Beating the game cursed with no Estus while having the Calamity Ring on seems insane to me. So, the crazy lad that I am, I knew I had to try something like this, and after racking my brain for a minute, a question popped into my head. Can you beat Dark Souls cursed with no armor and only a straight sword hilt? With no Estus, no vitality, the Calamity Ring, and beating all bosses hitless? With that said, let's get into the rules for this run. Rule number 1, straight sword hilt only. Rule number 2, cursed. I have to be cursed throughout the entire run and I cannot remove it. Curse permanently has my health, removes the humanity bonus, and it allows me to hit ghosts, so at least there's one perk that comes from it. Rule number 3, no armor. Simply because I like playing the game this way. Number 4, no shields. I want to suffer, and allowing shields would reduce that suffering. Number 5, no leveling vitality, which means I'll always be in one-shot range for boss fights. Number 6, no Estus, because why would I need to heal when I'll die in one hit anyways? Number 7, Calamity Ring. The Calamity Ring makes me take double the damage and takes up a ring slot. The double damage will ensure that I die in one hit, and taking up one ring slot only allows me to have one useful ring on at a time. Very large ember is locked behind ornstein and Smough. I do this so I don't overpower myself for early game. Level caps. For every boss I beat, I'm allowed 5 levels. No summons. And lastly, beat all bosses hitless. This originally was not part of the plan, but after the halfway point, my pride got the better of me. With the rules out of the way, let's get this hellish adventure started. I start off by naming my character Red in tribute to Red Licorice. For the class, I go with the Pyromancer since it starts out with the Pyromancy Flame, which will allow me to use power within without having to save Laurentius. For the gift, I of course go with the Pendant. And by Pendant, I mean Master Key. With all that said, time to head to Lordran. I wake up in my cell and see my cousin Ted get dropped off by a shiny fellow. I proceed to loot my unconscious cousin's body for a key and bust out of jail. Lucky for me, I already start with my weapon in hand, the straight sword hilt. Let's talk about it. The straight sword hilt has a starting damage of 20 and has an E scaling in strength and dex, which literally makes it the worst weapon in the game, and yes, it's worse than a broken straight sword. For a quick comparison between the two, let's look at them at max stats and max upgrade level. The broken straight sword has an AR of 205, while the straight sword hilt has a whopping AR of 59. But wait, it gets better. Not only does it have the lowest amount of damage, but even when two-handing it, it does not increase the amount of damage done. You might be thinking, well, at least you can backstab and riposte for critical damage. And you would be right, but it only adds a single point of damage. Luckily, the weapon can be buffed by resin and weapon buffs, but unfortunately, critical attacks only come from the base weapon damage and not from the total damage after a buff. With that quick intro into the best weapon in the game over with, let's get back to the story. After escaping from my cell, I find the shiny fellow who hands me some shiny liquid, but after seeing what he did to my cousin Ted, I tossed the liquid out. After avoiding that close call, I found myself tumbling off an edge and accidentally plunging my hilt into a demon's face. Gotta love seeing big numbers. The Asylum Demon overall isn't a hard fight since all you have to do is stay behind him the whole time whacking away. The issue is I only do 2 damage, and when you do this small amount of damage, there's a good chance the Asylum Demon will pin you up against the wall with his thick ass. The reason this is a problem is that it becomes a lot harder to see, which increases the odds of me getting hit, and in this case getting hit once means dying. So when this would start to happen, I would try my best to get him away from the wall. You might be wondering, why am I not two-handing the weapon? Well, as stated earlier, it does not increase the damage, and when you two-hand a weapon, it costs more stamina to use. So in this case, it's more efficient to single-hand the hilt for less stamina use, and for the fact that the weapon swings faster, so I deal more damage. With that said, it took 15 minutes and 57 seconds to finally kill this big booty boy and earn my first victory.
Flawless victory.
After clapping some thick demon cheeks, I end up at Firelink Shrine where I have a good bit of prep that I need to do before taking on the next boss. I start off by collecting souls because I'll be needing 3,000 to buy magic weapon from Griggs. After collecting the souls, I attempt to jump down to Lower Undead Burg. Let's just say it took me a minute for me to finally make it down to Griggs, to just forget I need the resident key to free him. I buy the key and finally rescue Griggs. While here, I make sure to grab the Sorcerer's Catalyst from the dead body. Due to my many attempts of saving Griggs, I didn't have the funds to buy Magic Weapon. I then proceed to pick up some more souls in the Valley of the Drakes and Darkroot Basin. While on this side of town, I make sure to open the shortcut to Firelink Shrine to Undead Parish. Once back at Firelink Shrine, I finally have enough souls to buy Magic Weapon. The reason I am buying Magic Weapon is so that I can buff the hilt so that it can do more than 2 damage and not make the fights last for 2 hours. After acquiring Magic Weapon, I make my way back up to the Undead Asylum and grab the Rusted Iron Ring for dealing with Blighttown. Once back from Undead Asylum, I head down to Blighttown to get Power Within. Well, that was the plan anyways. I honestly thought with the Rusted Iron Ring, I could make it across without getting poisoned, but that wasn't the case. So I was a bit stumped at the moment until Vending Machine from chat recommended I grab the spell Remedy, and Yorotaru came right in afterwards with the location of it in Blighttown. So with chat's help, I get the spell Remedy. The unfortunate part is I can't use it since you need 16 intelligence to use it. And with my level cap at 6, that only leaves me with 15 intelligence. So at this moment, I was left with no other choice than to take on the next boss. And the next boss I decided to take on was the Taurus Demon. I honestly thought the Taurus Demon wouldn't be that hard, but I was sadly wrong. Due to me killing this boss so fast in my past runs, I didn't really know his attack patterns that well, which led to me dying more times than I would like to admit. At first I tried to just plunge attack him, but I was only doing 63 damage, and by the time I would get the second plunge attack off, Magic Weapon would run out shortly afterwards. So I was left with no other option but to actually fight the Taurus Demon. Until I remembered you can get him to jump off the ledge. So I tried that for a while, but the Taurus Demon would keep edging me with the amount of times he almost fell off. The edging went so hard in fact, the Taurus Demon became a WWE wrestler standing on the railing of the bridge.
And his name is John C.
After comically being killed and put in my place, I finally decided to give up on that idea and just fight him normally. The strategy that I came up with to kill him was pretty simple. I would just bait out his attack, smack him a few times, and run away. Not the most interesting strategy, but it got the job done. After 15 deaths and a solid 1 hour and 4 minutes of trying the Taurus Demon fight, his wrestling career comes to an end, and I earned my second victory.
Flawless victory.
With the Taurus Demon defeated, I dump all my souls into intelligence so that I can use Remedy. I then make my way back to Blighttown to get Power Within. I normally try to run past the creature that is guarding Power Within to get it, but thanks to Red Licorice's video, I now know of a safer way to get it. With the creature killed, I grab Power Within. On the way back up from Blighttown, I decided to stop by the Valley of the Drakes and grab the red Tearstone Ring. Now, you would think the 50% damage increase would help out with the damage output, right? Sadly, it does not. The 50% is only applied to the weapon's base damage, not the total damage that you would get with a weapon buff. As you can see here, I only do 2 damage. Now with RTSR, I do 3. Now let's add Magic Weapon. Without RTSR, I do 73 damage. With it, I do 75 damage. And I think we all know 50% of 73 is not 2. Now let's look at Power Within with Magic Weapon. It does 103 damage. As you can see, Power Within's 40% is applied to the total damage, whereas RTSR's 50% is applied to just the weapon's base damage. So for that reason alone, I stuck with Power Within and never used RTSR, since the hilt will always do less than 10 damage to bosses with it. After learning that interesting fact about RTSR and Power Within, I grind some souls with the Red Drake farm to get 20,000 souls to buy the Lingering Dragon Crest ring from Griggs. With all that done, I decided I was ready for the next boss fight, the Bell Gargoyles. I had a pretty rough start with the Bell Gargoyles at first, but after a few deaths, I finally was able to kill the first gargoyle with my last Gold Pine Resin, and I knew at this moment I had to fight in the bag. I don't want to talk about it. After dropping the ball there, I ended up going through a pretty big death streak, and most of the deaths were me trying to go back to the boss room. So after an hour and a half of trying this and it not going so well, Chad and I decided it would be best at this point to use save state so that I could actually fight the boss. Unfortunately for me, not only is my character cursed, but apparently the run as well. I ended up clicking the wrong save state, which ended up corrupting my entire save file, which I had no idea that would happen if I did that. So instead of starting over, chat advised I just remake the character and get myself back to where I was. so I speed through everything as quickly as possible to fix my mistake. Once I finally make it back to the bell fight, I make sure to clear out all my old save states so that I don't make the same mistake again. Funny enough, not long after this, I was able to pressure the first gargoyle fast enough to cut off his tail and get him to about 20% HP before the second one showed up. With the first gargoyle having low health at this point, I was easily able to take him out, giving me the opportunity to exact revenge against the second gargoyle for making this fight take way longer than it needed to. And after 25 deaths and 2 hours and 45 minutes of trying this fight, I finally earned my third victory.
Flawless victory.
After experiencing the appetizer pain that is to come, I grind up another 20,000 souls to buy the Crest of Artorias. From here, I open the door in Darkroot Gardens and then proceed to farm the local forest hunters for souls to hit my next level cap of 16. While in the area, I decided to give Moonlight Butterfly a shot, and it was not going so well until KD Ratio advised me to lock onto the butterfly and strafe the first shot and dodge the second shot to not get hit, and sure enough it worked. Unfortunately though, my damage output wasn't enough at the time to finish her off in one combo, so I decided to save her for another time. With the Moonlight Butterfly put on hold, I had to make a decision between Capra Demon and Stray Demon. And some people in chat were saying Stray Demon was too hard of a fight to attempt right now, so I knew I had to show them how much of a pushover he is. And I did exactly that until I was being careless and ran into his lingering hitbox. Or shockwave, however you want to look at it. Yep, that's what I get for not taking the fight seriously, but it wasn't too much of an issue because it didn't take long after that to beat him. With magic weapon and some charcoal resin that I had bought earlier from the female merchant, I was easily able to circle his attacks and chip away at his health. And after 2 deaths and 31 minutes and 45 seconds of trying, I earned my 4th victory.
Flawless victory.
With that done, I hit my next level cap of 21. And make my way to Quelaag because I want a few more levels to make sure I can one-shot the Capra Demon's dogs. Quelaag wasn't too bad. She was a bit worried I wouldn't get the job done with how short my sword was, but I told her it isn't the size that matters, it's how you use it. Sadly, it took me a few times to try and get the job done due to me being a bit greedy. Remember lads, ladies come first. For a few rounds, I was trying to kill her as fast as possible, and was attacking her when I shouldn't be. You can dodge her sword combo by being in her armpit, but it's best to keep walking into her arms until she does her poke attack, then it's the safest time to attack. If you attack during her second horizontal attack, there's a chance she will turn enough to hit you. This is why you should always be walking into her during this point. I was confident I was far enough into her armpits that I should be fine, and I was at first, but eventually my luck ran out and she got me. It took me a few times to learn my lesson, but I finally got the point. After this, I was easily able to take her out. Unfortunately, at this point in time, I wasn't trying to no-hit the bosses, and Quelaag ended up chip damaging me twice during my winning attempt. So I went back in later and redid the fight. This time, I made sure to go in with Power Within instead of Remedy. I was too lazy at the time to go buy Purple Moss, but decided it was the best option this time so I could no-hit her easily. To avoid her chip damage from her leg touching you when she hops away, I made sure after hitting her a few times I would run away so her legs could never touch me, and with that I was able to no-hit Quelaag. It only took 6 deaths, 26 minutes, and 43 seconds of trying to earn my 5th victory.
Flawless victory.
After proving to Quelaag that size doesn't matter, I decided to prove the same point to her brother. Ceaseless is ceaseless. I did this for the easy 5 levels to make the Capra fight even easier. With Ceaseless put down, I level up to 30 and it's finally time to take on the Capra Demon. The Capra Demon was the Capra Demon. It was a bit rough trying to go up the stairs, I died a lot here, but eventually RNGesus was on my side and I finally made it up top to just die to the damn lock-on system switching to the Capra Demon when the damn dog was right in front of me. This is one of the many reasons why I hate the lock-on system in DS1. After a few more trial and errors, I was finally able to kill the Capra Demon with the usual strat of plunge attacks. But once again, at this point in time, I was not trying to no-hit the bosses and I was hit by the dogs, which I somehow survived. So, just like Quelaag, I went back and retried the fight again. This time, I decided to change up my strategy a bit. I normally go for the dog near the stairs first, but it really wasn't working out that well, so I decided to go for the one in the back instead, and funny enough, it worked out on my first try. I was easily able to kill the dog in the back, and right after I took out the staircase dog, and with both dogs dead, I was easily able to no-hit the Capra Demon with plunge attacks and fall damage. It only took 21 deaths and a total time of 23 minutes and 14 seconds to earn my 7th victory.
Flawless victory.
With the Capra Demon defeated, I make my way through the depths, kill a Chandler, and take on a Gaping Dragon. Gaping Dragon was stupid easy. I just bait out his slam attack over and over again, and he easily went down. At this point, Pinwheel is more of a threat than the Gaping Dragon.
Flawless victory.
After that easy win, I hit level 35, saved Laurentius for shits and giggles, and grabbed the large ember. From here, I head to Darkroot Garden to join the Forest Hunter Covenant so that I can kill Shiva's bodyguard for his ring. After acquiring the wood grain ring, I head back to Andre and give him the large ember. Here, I was advised by Guile to turn the hilt into a raw weapon because the flat damage will be more than the normal path, and you can still apply buffs to it. I had no clue that you could apply weapon buffs to raw and crystal weapons. I have over 400 hours in this game and I'm still learning new things. After upgrading my hilt to raw +1, I made my way through Sin's fortress. While making my way through it, I saved Logan. I will be needing to do his questline for the best catalyst in the game. With Logan's save, it's time to take on the Iron Golem. Well, that was short-lived. Let's try again. The Iron Golem can be a bit scary since he is weak to lightning and not so much magic, so I won't be doing that much damage to him. So my plan was to just weave in and out of his legs. When doing this, you can bait out his grab attack, which leaves him wide open for a smacking. I attempted to cheese him off the ledge, but ended up failing on my first try, but on my second try, I was actually able to pull it off. This is super rare for me because I suck at pulling this off, so I was very excited when this happened. It only took 1 death and 3 minutes and 37 seconds of trying to earn my 9th victory.
Flawless victory.
From here, I head to Anor Londo, grab Greater Magic Weapon, and head to the Giant Blacksmith. At the Giant Blacksmith, I buy large Titanite shards to upgrade my raw hilt to +5. After upgrading my weapon, I decided it was time to pay Priscilla a visit. And oh dear god, I can't poise break her. So for those of you who don't know, Priscilla has to be poise broken to become visible again, and no matter how many times I hit her in a row, her poise won't break, which leads to me dying for trying to be too aggressive. For this fight, I knew it could take a while since I can't see Priscilla's health, so I made sure to have the lingering Dragon Crest ring on for this fight. I would love to say this made the fight easier, but it did not. With Priscilla being invisible the entire time and me being easily one-shotted, I died a lot. All that karma coming back to me for killing her on all those other playthroughs, but I finally got a strategy down. My strategy was to attack her from the right side and proceed to walk left to get some extra hits in. From here, I run away to rinse and repeat this strategy for 12 minutes and 17 seconds. It only took 6 deaths, a grand total of 40 minutes and 12 seconds of trying to earn my 10th victory.
Flawless victory.
With Priscilla defeated, I leveled myself up to 45 and was finally ready to take on Ornstein and Smough. I had a fantastic first go at Ornstein and Smough. I was able to pressure Ornstein pretty much non-stop, which led me to actually killing him on my first try. The only downside is I ran out of Greater Magic Weapon, and my other magic slot was Power Within, but I said fuck it, I was going to try anyways. After a solid 17 minutes and 39 seconds, I had zoned out a little bit and was a bit too close to the pillar and got killed. Probably for the best, since it most likely would have taken me another 30 minutes or more to win this way. After this, Chad advised me that I should increase my entombment for a 3rd slot so I could have magic weapon on me as well, and I did just that. Unfortunately, the next few, and by few I mean 12 attempts, were not as good as my first, sadly. But lucky for me, attempt 13 was the winning ticket. This attempt went so well, I actually almost killed Ornstein with only 1 use of Greater Magic Weapon. After easily taking out Ornstein, I had 2 Greater Magic Weapons to use against Smough. In hindsight, I should have used the lingering Dragon Crest ring at this point. I was using Wood Grain Ring for the first phase because the extra speed and iframes make it much easier to survive. But if I would have used the lingering Dragon Crest ring during the second phase, I could have easily killed Smough with just Greater Magic Weapon. But around 12% HP, Greater Magic Weapon ran out and I had to use Magic Weapon to finish the job. And it only took 13 deaths and a grand total time of 46 minutes and 44 seconds to earn my 11th victory
Flawless victory.
From here, Chad and I visit with Guinevere and the twins. Hello, twins.
Hi, Red. Hi, Chat.
After having that lovely conversation with the twins and Guinevere, I make my way through the Duke archives to rescue Logan once more and proceed to buy everything from him, and most importantly, Crystal Magic Weapon. After buying and equipping Crystal Magic Weapon, it's time to take on Smough the Scaleless. So I normally don't struggle with Smough, but for some reason this time my strategy of just chasing his tentacle was not working. When doing this strat, Smough will usually just loop his beam attack, but for some reason this time he would do his AoE from time to time, which normally doesn't happen, and I'm confident in this because this is how I beat him during the Skull Lantern run. I don't know if the run was just legitimately cursed or it was due to me not being right behind the tentacle, but I died way too many times for this fight. I guess Smoug's AI got tired that I was looping him and decided to throw me a curveball, but I stayed persistent and kept following my strategy. It took 7 deaths and 40 minutes and 39 seconds of trying, but I finally got the job done.
Flawless victory.
With Smough defeated, I find Logan and see that he has also become a nudist. But unfortunately for him, I need to kill him for both of his staffs. After being caught off guard by Logan's package, I retry the fight again and bum rush the nudist to finally kill him. After nabbing the 10 crystallization catalyst, I also pick up Logan's catalyst. The reason I get both is because the 10 crystallization catalyst halves the number of spells you can cast, but does more damage. So I usually like to do one cast with 10 crystallization catalysts, and then switch to Logan's catalyst so that I can continue using the buffs a little longer and allowing me to have a continuous buff throughout the boss fights. With that brief explanation over with, I do the jump skip to access Gwendolyn because I hate going to the catacombs to get his ring. With 10 crystallization catalysts, Crystal Magic Weapon, and Power Within, Gwendolyn didn't stand a chance and easily went down on the first try.
Flawless victory.
After wiping the floor with Gwendolyn, I reach level 57 and start putting points into Endurance since I'm at the hard cap for Intelligence. At this point, I felt ready to take on Moonlight Butterfly. Since she takes forever to come down, it took me a couple of tries to survive. But once I finally got her to come down, I was easily able to take her out. It only took 12 deaths and a collective time of 22 minutes and 17 seconds of trying to earn my 14th victory.
Flawless victory.
With Moonlight Butterfly defeated, I figured I should take on Smough because she was just right there. Smough wasn't as bad as I was expecting her to be. She did kill me 3 times, but I was expecting my death count to be way higher than that. It was around this point that I was starting to take the no-hit seriously and wanted to dodge Sif's chip damage at all costs. So I figured my best plan of action was to just rush Sif down and DPS her as fast as possible. I made sure to stay underneath her since this is the safest spot to not get hit by her attacks, and lucky for me, it actually worked out. The fight itself was only 22 seconds, and it only took 6 minutes and 29 seconds of trying to earn my 15th victory.
Flawless victory.
After putting Sif down, I decided to head to New Londo Ruins to get the very large ember, but upon doing this, I remembered I will need to downgrade the hilt and reuse large Titanite shards, which I don't have. So instead of farming shards, I decided to go take on Pinwheel. So you might be wondering why I decided this long to go without fighting Pinwheel, when he should be an easy win. Well, with being cursed, not leveling vitality, and having the Calamity Ring, I was actually scared of Pinwheel. Pinwheel's highest resistance is to magic, and if I went and fought him too early, there's a good chance one of his clone's fireball attacks could easily one-shot me. So I waited until now so that I could safely kill him in a few hits. It's funny to think I was scared more of Pinwheel than the Stray Demon, but with that said, Pinwheel easily goes down after a few hits.
Flawless victory.
After safely taking out Pinwheel, I make sure to pick up everybody's favorite Dark Souls character, Scully. I'll be needing Scully for the DLC area. From here, I take on the Hydra, and it wasn't so bad until I died with only 2 heads left. But luckily on the second go, I was able to get it done and didn't have to break all the heads off, which is always nice. I then do a whole bunch of tedious tasks to access the DLC area. Once there, I get to fight a very angry cat. Sanctuary Guardian wasn't too hard to get his health low, the real issue was running out of Power Within and weapon buffs. Multiple times I got him close to death to just run out of buffs and die. Unfortunately, the longer the fights go, the higher the chance of me getting hit is. Part of the issue was me trying to break his tail to make the fight easier, which I did succeed a few times, but it did waste more time that I could have been hitting the boss to get his health bar down faster. After trying this for a while, Guile from chat suggested I use Power Within at the bonfire and rest, so that I could have an extra use of it. This works because when resting at bonfires, you keep your buffs, which also made me realize I could do the same thing with Crystal Magic Weapon. So after this realization and help from Guile, I was easily able to DPS the Sanctuary Guardian down. It only took 17 deaths and 52 minutes and 5 seconds of trying to earn my 17th victory.
Flawless victory.
After defeating the very angry cat, I found that Elizabeth was no longer here and I could get her 3 mushrooms. This happened because a crystal dude smacked the shit out of Dusk earlier. I don't know how the future can affect the past, but fuck it, what do I know? With that said, it's time to take on Tartarus, the Abyss Walker. You better buckle the fuck up because this is going to be one hell of a ride. Let's get the small stuff out of the way. Earlier on, I tried this fight not at level cap and with just a +5 raw weapon, and I learned real fast that wasn't going to cut it. I also noticed the damage was so low that I was going to run out of buffs. So you might be thinking I should just use the Lingering Dragon Crest Ring. The issue there is, I personally will need as many iframes as I can get to survive a potential 30-minute fight without getting hit. So, from here I upgrade my weapon to the normal path of +15, gathered 10 gold pine resins, which I will regret, and hit my level cap of 86. With all that done, it was time to try again, and again, and again, until after an hour of trying, I was finally able to get him to a third of his health, to just die to a wide-ass hitbox. This theme would continue for the next 4 hours. I would constantly get close to killing Tartarus to just slip up and die, but finally, after beating my head against the wall, I was going to do it. I was going to beat Tartarus. Right before victory, my last gold pine resin ran out, hence the regret for not farming more. I knew at this moment I was only going to be doing about 4 to 5 damage, which was going to prolong the fight another 15 to 20 minutes. But I wasn't going to let that stop me. Hit after hit, I was chipping away at his health. With every hit, I was motivated more and more to beat this boss with a damn hilt. And before I knew it, I only had a few hits to go. This was it. This was my chance at victory and to show everyone that it isn't impossible. I died. No. Worse. I failed. Instead of properly reacting to the boss, I prematurely rolled away thinking he was doing another attack. In this moment right here, I knew I messed up. I knew I caused myself to fail right at the end. At that moment, my heart sank into my chest. I was speechless, to say. I just sat there quietly while chat tried to comfort me, but I just ignored it. I was in too much disbelief. How could I? I was only a few hits away. I was right there. How could I mess up so hard? In the midst of that realization of failure, a huge wave of guilt came over me. I realized I wasted everyone's time. They were expecting me to win at that moment, and I failed them. They watched me for hours, trying just for this to happen. There was a part of me that wanted to call it for the day. But the more I sat there, the more I wanted it. I was no longer mad at failing, I was mad at myself for even thinking about giving up. So without saying anything to chat, I knew what I had to do. I went back to farm more resin and went back into the fight. I had forgotten this is why I decided to do this challenge in the first place, to push myself past my limit, and for me to do that, I need to beat Tartarus. So I went from playing passive to the most aggressive I have ever fought Tartarus. I was seeing opportunities to hit that I normally wouldn't see. I was no longer spam rolling in hopes to dodge, I was pressing roll knowing I was going to dodge. All I knew at that moment was that I wanted more. I wanted to keep seeing fights in this way. And before I knew it, I was back here once again. Who will win? Me or Tartarus? Let's find out. Yes! I can't yell loud right now because my girlfriend's sleeping, but yes!
Flawless victory.
After that experience, I needed a breather, so I figured I would go bully some demons, but before leaving, I used Scully to get the silver pendant for the Manus fight for later. Back to bullying those demons though. First up on the list is the Fire Sage. Let's try that one more time. First up on the list is the Fire Sage. The Fire Sage is actually easier than the Stray Demon. All you do for this fight is pressure him into a corner and watch him try and run away, even though it's pointless. I think I understand cats now.
Flawless victory.
After dealing with that easy prey, I was left with the Centipede Demon. Funny enough, it wasn't hard to cut off his arm and get the ring, but I didn't think the chip damage from the lava with the ring on would kill me so fast. So I made sure to lead him to the right side with the platform, and after a few tries, I was able to kill the little shit.
Flawless victory.
Which only leaves the Bed of Chaos, and this is where the Elizabeth mushrooms come in. Since I have to cross the lava to get to her, the lava's tick damage would kill me with how low my health is. So with Elizabeth mushrooms, I can easily survive the tick damage, and yes, I know I could have done the shortcut instead, but I wasn't in the mood to farm humanity. Now for the Bed of Chaos. To be honest, I don't know what to say since the restrictions didn't really change anything for this gimmick boss fight. The Bed of Chaos was simply the Bed of Chaos.
Flawless victory.
After beating the Bed of Chaos, I still wasn't ready to go back to the DLC, so I took on the 4 Kings instead. Once again, chat was scared of this fight, but I knew it wasn't going to be bad. With all the buffs I had, I knew I could dish out enough damage to easily take out a king before another one could spawn. And one of the easiest ways to no-hit them is to stick to their backside to dodge the majority of their attacks. What I didn't expect was to get them to 10% HP multiple times to just fucking die. You know, I joke about this run being cursed, but I'm starting to believe it's true. Finally, RNGesus decided to be nice to me and gave me a good setup for the last king for an easy kill. It only took 9 deaths and 25 minutes and 19 seconds of trying to earn my 22nd victory.
Flawless victory.
With the 4 kings dealt with, I finally felt ready to take on Manus, the father of the abyss. Part of me wants to say Manus wasn't hard, but that would be a bit of a lie. Truthfully, he isn't really hard, it was more of a skill issue on my part. I believe only a few times I was killed during this fight that felt off, but besides that, it was definitely me playing bad. For this fight, I made sure to hit my level cap of 91 and increase my attunement so I can add magic weapon for more buffs. Overall, Manus probably has the most generous moveset out of all the DLC bosses. So much, in fact, I was completely okay with using the Dragon Crest ring for this fight instead of the Wood Grain ring. Manus just has a lot of openings to get attacks in, and more than I even realized because during this run, I found out I could hit him way more than I thought I could. After Manus does some of his big attacks like his lunge attack or his fist slam attack, you can actually attack him longer than you think. If you are positioned right behind him, he'll actually take the time to turn around, which you can get extra hits in. I normally only get about 3 hits in if I'm lucky, but when doing it this way, I was getting 5 to 6 hits in. Another big opportunity would be when you get him to his second phase and he does his AoE attack. If you are within a safe range, you can charge in and get multiple hits in. On average, I could get about 4 to 5 hits, but sometimes I would get lucky and get more than 5. My proof of this is when I first started fighting him, it took all my crystal buffs and greater magic buffs just to get him below halfway. But on my later attempts after figuring this out, I was able to get him below halfway with only 2 uses of crystal magic weapon. This is just going to show Manus is a bit more generous than the other bosses in the DLC, and probably the whole game. But with that said, it took 19 deaths and 2 hours and 13 seconds of trying to earn my 23rd victory.
Flawless victory.
After that fun fight with Manus, I decided I wanted to take on Nito next simply because I really don't want to fight Calamity. Before fighting him, I have 2 things I need to do. First thing is pick up the Hush spell from Sin's Fortress, and the last thing is pick up Scully's cousin, Eduardo, and bring him to his girlfriend's house, where she generously gives me the fog ring for dropping him off. With these 2 items acquired, I was ready for Nito. The reason I got the fog ring and the Hush spell is because you can lure Nito out by himself this way. The fog ring reduces aggro distance, and the hush spell allows you to not make a sound when walking. Now, I do have to reapply hush after it wears off because the skeletons can be alerted by my footsteps and start walking towards me. Another fun fact that Guile from chat told me is if you two-hand a weapon and hold block, Nito's laughing sword attack goes through you. Go figure. It did take me a few tries to get the hang of luring Nito out, but when I finally got him by himself, I had no issues taking him out. It only took 5 deaths, 11 minutes, and 24 seconds of trying to get the job done.
Flawless victory.
With Nito easily defeated, I was left with no other choice but to take on Calamity. If you unbuckled from the Tartarus fight, I'm going to need you to rebuckle back up. Calamity's fight is the other side of the coin to the Tartarus fight. The Tartarus fight felt like I was becoming a better player and overcoming my limits, whereas the Calamity fight felt like I was cheated and it didn't matter how well I played. I'm not saying I didn't die from time to time because I was making bad decisions, I 100% did, but I died a lot to some bad hitboxes and pure jank. This fight was hard for the simple fact that I was only doing 93 damage with Power Within, 10 Crystallization Catalyst, and Crystal Magic Weapon, and it wouldn't take too long for my damage to dwindle to a measly 25. I have stated this before, the longer a fight goes, the higher the chance of me getting hit becomes, and when you start only doing 25 damage, the fights start lasting a bit longer than you want. Countless times I came close to killing Calamity to die right before victory. Some of these deaths were because of jank and some were because I made bad decisions, but mostly due to jank. This just didn't go on for an hour or two. This went on for 8 hours and 32 minutes. Time and time again, I would be teased with victory for it to be taken away. I will be honest, I was mad. I got really angry. But this is where the other side of the coin comes in. Sometimes life just isn't fair. It doesn't matter how hard you work at something, it doesn't mean you will succeed at it. And it's frustrating, to be honest. It's hard to not be mad when you feel like you work so hard towards something to just fail again and again, and not due to your own mistakes, simply because luck wasn't on your side. So I had 2 options at this point, give up and accept defeat, or keep going besides all the odds being against me. I chose to keep going. I was willing to keep suffering if it meant accomplishing my goal. This wasn't about me pushing past my skill limit, this was about me pushing past my mental limit. And that's why for 8 hours and 32 minutes straight, I fought Calamity. And you know what? It paid off. After all those hours of trying, I finally figured out how to no-hit Calamity with a straight sword hilt. The strategy was simple, funny enough. All you needed to do is bait out 3 attacks. His horizontal breath attack, his standing breath attack, and his tail slam. To bait out the first 2, all you need to do is dodge backwards from his bite attacks and make sure to stay in line with his face, and he'll do either the horizontal breath attack or standing breath attack. This isn't always immediately after he tries to bite you, but after a few times he eventually does one of the 2. For the tail slam, all you have to do after he finishes gliding down is beat under his tail and he will most likely slam it down, which gives you the best chance to hit his legs. You might be thinking I should try and break the tail, but the 4 to 6 hits to his legs just makes the fight go a bit faster. Plus, the few times I did try and break his tail, I was never successful. But finally, after 147 deaths, I defeated Calamity with a straight sword hilt without being hit. And yeah, it was worth the total time of 9 hours and 36 minutes of trying.
Flawless victory.
With Calamity finally defeated and the little bit of sanity I had left, it was time for the final fight, Gwyn, the Lord of Cinder. So part of the reason I didn't want to use Estus was so that I had to fight Gwyn fairly and not just cheese him. You might be thinking I regretted this decision, and I'm happy to say I did not. Gwyn wasn't really that bad. All I had to do was parry his attack, circle behind him, and hit him a few times. Now, it did take a minute before I finally killed him, but 23 minutes and 17 deaths in comparison to the majority of the other bosses was not bad at all. And with that, I earned my final victory.
Flawless victory.
So, can you beat Dark Souls Cursed with no armor and only a straight sword hilt? With no Estus, no vitality, the Calamity Ring, and beating all bosses hitless? You sure fucking can. I knew this was going to be one of my hardest runs, and my god, it lived up to that expectation. But every second of pain was worth it in the end. I wanted to thank everyone who came out to the streams. I really appreciated the support, especially during the Tartarus and Calamity fights. I definitely needed it then. I also want to thank my channel supporters. If you too would like to support the channel or have your name in the video, you can click the Patreon link down below or the YouTube join button. With all that said, I want to thank all of you for watching. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, take care.